Morning. Now, in the journey that the soul is going, and slowly, we came to know how we were born, how we were created. So, the creation first. Then, after the creation, and we discussed that from different points of view. From the Vedic point of view, from the science, from different religions, philosophy. And then after the creation, naturally the human society. And slowly the civilization came up. And there were 6 big civilizations. And of those 6, only the Indian civilization, Bharatiya Sabhyata, that is only existing now. Others are mostly in history. Then naturally, what is the secret? How they could survive? So that was the question, and we were searching that answer. How they could survive so many thousands of years, 6,000 years minimum, they have survived. How they have survived? So we found that the 2 types of people that came in that society, one the thinkers, another those who are actively participating in doing something. Like they were thinking, giving some ideas, and naturally the society needed some discipline. So Kshatriya, the kings, the administrator, then only administration won't do. So we needed some people to manage the business and agriculture and all those. So the Vaishyas and a workforce, the Shudra. And always there is a tendency, whether the Brahmana, the intellectual group, the Kshatriyas, the heroic group, the military group, Vaishyas, the business merchants, and the Shudra, the working force, all they are taking back to the conception they belong to God, and that is one God, and that is called Purusha, and he is residing inside each and every one. And again, as a special thing, very peculiar, very special, always telling not directly he is this, he is giving in a flowery language, the wonderful language, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Now that Purusha, what is that Purusha? The one who is residing inside, he is the Purusha, not the male body. So that, how is he? He is having 1,000 heads, 1,000 legs, and 1,000 eyes and all that. And that is all these people are the part of it. And after that, they developed a wonderful society system. Brahmacharya, Garhastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Because when a person is very young, he must learn. And when he is learning, the first thing that he must learn that his responsibility. These are my responsibilities that I am committed to myself, committed to the society. I cannot live alone. Since I am in the society, so whatever the society is thinking, that is also my concern. I must do that. So the Brahmacharya, the student's life, they gave that dharma along with the other education. The moment we say the dharma, we think ritual came afterwards, much afterwards. So the dharma means the responsibilities. Then artha and kama. And artha and kama in between. So Brahmacharya, student's life, Garhastha. Then Vanaprastha, then Sannyasa. In the Garhastha life, artha and kama. That you have the desire, to fulfill the desire, you have to work. You have to earn your livelihood, and by that you can satisfy. And then finally, you have to retire. It is obvious. Your health cannot permit. It is not possible for each and every one to continue. So they nicely kept this society in this way. First, for every individual, 4 parts: Brahmacharya, Garhastha, Banaprastha, Sannyas. For the whole society, these are the goals that you have to go. So, individual and the society, when they are merging, wonderful. Then the education, that was stressed much. In our last talk, we saw how they are giving there's so much of importance on the women education and the development of the wealth in the society. So that today we will discuss once again. We touched that in our last discussion, how things were moving, and then suddenly they noticed that most of the people are becoming interested to go and find out something, and they wanted to become the rishis, the mendicants, monks, and not very much interested in marrying and establishing and developing the family. But the society needs that. So they had a meeting. We will come to that. Before that, as I was telling, for everything they went back to only oneness. So here is a Rig Veda mantra. Again, it has been given in the Kathopanishad. How is the God and where the God is. So please repeat after me. I will say slowly. Hamsa, Suchi Sad, Basu, Antarikshad, Hota, Bedishad, Atithi, Duronasat, Nrishad, Barasad, Ritsad, Byomasad, Abja, Goja, Ritaja, Adrija, Ritam, Brihat. So this is the explanation of the God. What is the God? He is everywhere. And here it will nicely say hum. Hum means to go. H-A-M, hum is go. Hamsa means a mover. He is constantly moving. He is not static, constantly moving. But at the same time, he is everywhere. Suchi means the pure. Sat means leave. Suchi and Sad. Suchi means the pure, Sat means the leave. And then where it lives? In the Vayu. Vayu means in the atmosphere. There is also the same God. Then it goes on telling Antarikshat, in between. There's a wonderful drawing I got. There's the world and then the heaven in between. That means this atmosphere. In between, he is there, Antarikshat. Then, not only that, the guest that is coming to you, he is also in that guest. He is coming to you for the help, there is a guest. And in the Drona, Drona means the pitcher. Inside the pitcher, he is also there. And that way, Nrishad, among the kings, he is also there. In the human being, he is there. But he is more manifested in the good people. So here is a simple the translation. The most glorious Lord God is in the clouds, in the heaven, and everywhere else. Recognize him in the guest visiting you. He is present in all being. He is present in greater measure, of course, in holy people. He is reachable through worship and through the path of the truth and virtue. The meaning of this verse, afterwards giving the note, is that the world has but one self, which is all pervasive, and that there is no plurality in the selves. So that is the main idea of the Hinduism. Again and again, through different stotras, different language, they all go on telling there is only one. And this one is all inclusive. That is the speciality. This one is all inclusive. And that is why the Hindus sometimes they'll be telling why we should not behave like them, why should not do like that. We cannot do. Because the basic of Hinduism is this. We can never do it. And this Vedic gods that we were, the huge list is there. We know last time also we have discussed about that. Almost in the new thought leaders of the human race known as Aryans, almost they are calculating almost 3,000 years before apprehending the downfall of the Aryans, and took a decision to increase their population not only with thoughtful renouncers, mendicants known as the rishis, but also with the people, men and women, who will actively participate in supporting, nurturing, developing the society. Now, those who agreed to participate, they became known as the Prajapati. So, the meeting was held under the leadership of the Brahma. The Brahma, we all know the creator. And the creator means what? Creator means he had a wonderful thought and he knew how to do it. So that is the creator, he is doing, producing. But through whom? People is to like him, respect him, listen to him. So he called a meeting. Why? Because the seers, the rishis, they surveyed and they told that we are reducing, our numbers are reducing. How you will survive? Good people are there, excellent people are there, but numbers are very less. We have to spread, we have to go and cover the whole world. Now what to do? So Brahma called the meeting and he said that we have to marry and we have to settle. So there was no monk, they were all rishis. The rishis were having the wives, the family, the children. Here we find the Brahma himself married the Saraswati, and Brahma was the son of Niranjana, a highly accepted and respected person. And as per the advice of the Brahma, many they agreed to marry and many declined. No, we won't do. So they left. Hints are there in the stories of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. He's telling some people they were practicing meditation. Then suddenly they thought, why not go for the marriage? So they were discussing, some people, some of them, in the night when it was all dark and people are sleeping, they left the camp. They never wanted to go and marry, but the others, they stayed on, and among them is the great personalities, and these people who accepted became Prajapati. This is the name we again and again come. This Prajapatis means they are creating the Prajas. So this Prajapati, now there is a great sage, Bhrigu. We know the Bhrigu, in the Bengali, he was a very, very famous sage, and he was very powerful, the Bhrigu. And he went and he actually kicked another respected person. Bhagavan Buke Kidi Padachinna. In Bengali there is a poem written by the Najrul. So that is called the rebellious Bhrigu. He married, and the Bhrigu, his two sons, Chaban and Apanubhal, they became again seers. They told them, we are not going to marry, so they went. And 12 others, they became Devatas. This is a word to note. The Devatas, so they were known as the Devatas. Deva means knowledgeable people because they were educated. The moment that is there, so the light is coming out from him. So they are Deva. Deva means effulgence. The effulgence means what? From the body the light is coming out? No. They were educated people. So naturally good people, so the Devatas. A new conception is coming. Also the sages like the Marichi, whose sons was Kashyapa, and established a huge kingdom which became known as Kashyapa Meru, which is now at present they say Kashmir. Kashyapa Meru, the Meru became Mir, so Kashyap Mir, Kashmir. That particular place belonged to his Kashyapa. Another son of the Marichi was Vaibhashan. The Vaibhashan is the founder of the solar dynasty. Those who know that, they know that dynasty, the very famous solar dynasty and Chandravamshi, the lunar dynasty, Suryavamshi, Chandravamshi. Even today, most of the people, they are very, very proud that we belong to Chandravamsha or we belong to Suryavamsha, etc. So these two sages, the great sage Aritri's sons was Soma. Atri was the sage. His son's name was Soma. He established lunar dynasty. So the one is Kashyapa, and the Kashyapa, from him came the Marichi. Marichi's son Vaibhasha, and Vaibhasha's is the solar dynasty, and Atri's son Soma, he established the lunar dynasty. Now we find over here that slowly the Sapta Rishis are coming. Last time we mentioned their names, the Marichi, Kashyapa and Vaibhashan. Marichi is the Rishi, and the Kashyapa and Vaibhashan. In one place, Swami Vivekananda is telling, lo, the descendant of the Rishis have become next door neighbor to brutes. In the 17th, 18th century, when the British were ruling India, they were sucking the blood, and that naturally the condition was so bad. A so-called handful of educated people, rich people, they were constantly taking the side of the rulers, and the mass, they were tortured, and seeing them, Swami Vivekananda, he could not make any difference between the human being and the animal's life. So he cried out and said, lo, the descendant of the Rishis. He addressed them as the descendant of the Rishis. So all these families that has come from the Rishi. So here we find that Rishis, Shapta Rishi, is from them Angira. His sons are there, but the main Rishi is the Angira. And then come Pulasta, Pulaha, and after the Pulaha, Kratu, and after Kratu, Vashishta Rishi. These are the 7 great sages known as Shaptarshi. The one gentleman, he wrote an article, as Swami Sri Ramakrishna mentions Swami Vivekananda as one of the rishis of the Shaptarshis. So he was researching which rishi of all the 7, which one was Vivekananda came, the rishi came and took the form of Swami Vivekananda. It's a wonderful article. It was published in a Bengali literature magazine, Udbodhan. So these are the 7 the rishis. Then this Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, etc., coming. But the MacDonald, in his Sanskrit literature, he is mentioning that they are not actually the gods that we think, the mythological gods, is not having the historical existences. No, they were having. Then here we find some of them. We will come to know that we were discussing about quoting. Last time also we mentioned that in the Mahabharata, when we find the Yudhishthira, he is giving the answer to the god of death. He is telling, nobody can escape death. Death kills devas. the Danavas, Gandharvas, and all. So why he said Devas? Because the Devatas are also, they die. But we know the Devatas never die. So how come he mentioned like this? Again in the Shanti Parva, there also in the Mahabharata Shanti Parva, we find that the Devas, they die. So who are these Devas and Asuras? Then here we find in the Devas and Asuras, the Marichi's son Kashyapa, who established Kashmir, he had two wives. This Kashyapa's first wife was Diti. His sons were Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. The moment the Indians, they hear this name, not the modern Indians, because they don't know anything of it. So the younger generation, they don't know. But they know the names of all the professors, scientists and all that. But here the Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakasipu, you know that I saw long back, they were taking an interview to our Delhi University students. When they were asking, do you know who are Panchapandav? Panchapandav? I heard this name. So I heard this name. Is it in Amitabh's film? Can you imagine? Amitabh is a great the cinema actor. So you say, is it Amitabh's film, the Panchapandav? Even the person who was asking, he told, okay, thank you. So I don't need I cannot go up to that far. The Panchapandav, the great heroes of the Mahabharata, they don't keep. This we are tradition that we are losing. And Swami Vivekananda is telling, it is the tradition that actually holds the whole society. Otherwise, a shock will come on the society and it will break down. So that is the traditions are necessary. What is the tradition? To know or to understand. So where from all this came? Now we are trying to understand these Devatas and the Danavas. Again and again the Devas and Danavas are coming. Who are these Devas and who are these Danavas? The first wife, the Diti, he gave birth to two sons. One is Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, and they became known as Daityas. And his second wife, Aditi, his sons became known as Devas. Now, the Devas and Daityas, they had a fight. Why? Because both they wanted to have the kingdom. They were spreading out. But at the same time, we find here the Aryans occupied all tracts of the north of Himalaya. North of Himalaya, mostly it was under them. And also, the Daitya and the Danava Aryans grew very powerful. The Daityas and the Danavas, one is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, their family, they became known as Daityas and Danavas. They were good people, educated people, very capable people. The names was only Daitya and Danavas. Afterwards, as because most of the literature, they started supporting the Devas, and it was depicted in such a way that they are all very bad type of people. No. The Ravana was known as one of such. But when the Hanumana visited the Ravana's kingdom, he came back and told to Rama, he was truthful. He never trying to hide anything from Rama. He told his capital, his kingdom is much better than yours. Because it's full of prosperity, people are educated, they are physically powerful, all this. Naturally, we can understand. But when we are giving the picture, as because there is no cameras, so all people are thinking and drawing. The moment they are drawing the picture of a Danava, he's a very and then big monsters and bad person like that. It's not like that. They were also good. They were also Aryans. Now, they were having always, the tension was between the Devas and the Danavas, because two mothers and their children, so they were having like this. The most excellent people were the Devas. Why? They are highly educated, etc., etc. Now, this, as the Yudhishthira is calling the Devas, they were also the human being. And afterwards, we find over here, I, you, all others, the Bali is telling to Sri Ramachandra. And the king of the Devas, the Bali was telling to Indra also, I, you, all others, who will in time obtain the Indraship. If we get these points, the Bali, he was the king, and he is now giving it. The Bali was afterwards killed by the Ramachandra. He was replying to the taunt of the Indra. Indra was the Devata, and Bali was in that way, he was not Devata, he was not Danava also, he was in between. So they were named in different conditions. Sometimes they used to say that they are Banaras, because they used to obtain the musk of Banara, the monkeys. So naturally they used to love the nature, and from the nature they used to take their own symbols, so they were known by that. So the Banaras king, he was telling, but this is important, I, you, all others who will in time obtain the lead Indraship will go the same way as hundreds of Indras have already gone. In the Mahabharata Shanti Parva we find. So we mentioned that in the last time also. This Indraship again is not a permanent thing for a particular person, it is a post. Anyone could become the Indra. That's why we find in the, to support, we can quote the stories from the different mythologies, the Puranas. The Indra is always anxious to protect his own position. So anybody is trying to become very holy and very capable, and he can be chosen for that particular post, Indra was eager to go and disturb him. And those who have read this type of stories in the different type of mythologies in Puranas, Indra is sending out the people, he is disturbing the person. The more he becomes pure, the more he becomes qualified to become an Indra. So the divine power was there, but at the same time jealousy was there, fear was there to lose the post. These things were there. Devas belonged to many families. The most important were Adityas and Vishwadeva, etc. From the Matsya Purana, we find in the chapter 95, it appears the home of the different people of that time. They say the Daityas and the Danavas lived in the Shveta Parvata, and the Devas lived in the Sumeru Parvata. And Rakshasas, they used to live in another different place. They are not mentioned. Gandharvas and Apsaras, they were also not Devatas, but almost qualified like that. They had developed a wonderful culture, so they were Gandharvas, the ancestors of the Afghans. Now the researchers, he thinks they are the ancestors of the Afghans. The Gandharvas and Apsaras, they were on the Karakoram hill, so that area they used to live. The Nagas and the Takshakas, the ancestors of the Turk, they were in the Mount Nyasha. The great seers lived in the Mount Nila, the far north. So Daityas became very powerful. Devas also gradually rose to the great emergence and the powerful. So they say it happened, the incident happened that drove both to bitter hostilities, and it continued for 32 years. The Deva and Danava war between the two brothers. So that war went on, and that was the first great civil war, we can say, is mentioning the Devashura war. Now the lunar dynasty of the India, they say, it surfaced, and they first went to fight with the Daityas. They declared war on the Devas and soon invaded the Deva territory. The Daityas, they declared the war. Now the war, it began, they are calculating almost 2850 years BC and ended in 2818 BC. So these 30 years. The Devas were great in religion, their learning, their industries, etc. But they were little inferior to the Daityas in military options. So they first were losing the ground. Then the Devas' great general came up, and Purandara, his name was the Purandara. This Purandara by name, he became very prominent, and he led the Devas' army very successfully. And afterwards, his capital success in the war laid by the Devas, to declare him their king, they gave the title Indra. This Purandara, the king, became, we know in the Ramayana, that Dasharatha, he went to support in the war of Deva Daitya in favor of the Devatas. How come the Dasharatha, who was a human being, could go and support the Devatas? They were also human beings. So these are the proofs. The Dasharatha going and supporting the Devatas in their war, and many also they came and joined. And afterwards, the similar type of war broke between the two brothers. That is in the Mahabharata we find. And here also the Devatas and Danavas. So they are giving in this way. Now the Purandara, they gave him the title Indra. And the Indra, he was successfully leading. Then slowly, the Purandara, then afterwards other leaders also came. But it says that the able-bodied, possessed of many forms, terrible Rudra is wearing bright gold, the jewelries. He is the Lord of the universe and preserver of all. Now we find another leader is coming up, who is leading with successfully. His name is Rudra. And because the southern part and the northern part, in both sides, Daityas were there. And in the southern part, when the northern part Daityas, they were defeated by the Purandara. Now the southern part, they suddenly came up, and they declared the war against the Devatas, and they attacked from the southern part of India. And to fight with them, another leader came who became very famous. He is the Rudra, who afterwards was known as Shiva. The Rudra, Shiva again led an army, and after a hard struggle killed Tripura. We know the Tripura, Tripurantakaya, etc. We always chant about the Shiva. So he killed the Tripura, the Daitya king of the central province. They say that Tripura was the 3 different cities, and the Daitya king was very powerful, and he was fighting from different cities. It was difficult to fight with him because he was constantly moving his position. But the Rudra, the Shiva, now naturally afterwards they all go on telling in a different language, which become very difficult to accept. They said in one bow, the Rudra, he destroyed all the 3 cities. This is difficult to accept. How in a one, just he shot from the bow, and then one arrow destroyed the 3 cities? How it is possible? So naturally people think it is all imagination, it is all mythological, it has no historical background, historical values, but they say no, Shiva killed the Tripura, though he was having the 3 different cities and he was moving from one city to another city, but still the Shiva could fight with him. The deity king, the central province, the service of the Rudra to the Devas caused very and accepted thankfully and sung by the seers in the Rig Veda. Rig Veda, the 5th chapter of the Rig Veda, it sings the Rudra. How they sing? In the Rig Veda, it says, the able-bodied, possessed of many forms, terrible Rudra is wearing bright gold jewelries. He is the Lord of the universe and preserver of all. This is difficult to understand. The moment a king, a powerful leader, and when they are telling about him, they say, he is actually the Lord of the universe. We can say, actually they were telling he is the king or the powerful leader of a vast mass. Now previously the Nepal, now there is no king, but previously they used to say, Sri Panch, Maharaja Dhiraj, Bir Vikram Sahaji. The Sri means who is having different qualities is a Sri Yukta. There is also Sanskrit. Sri Yukta is having some good qualities. Not one quality. Ordinary people only have the one quality. But the king cannot have the only one. So Sri Panch. And Sri. Sometimes some people they will mention Sri Ramakrishna, Sri this, Sri that. Only 2 Sri. But they said no 1 or 2, 5. But to say Sri, it doesn't like. So they said Sri Panch. Nothing wrong. Sri Panch, Panch means 5, Maharaja Dhiraj. And who is this Maharaja Dhiraj? Only small kingdom of Nepal. Even then they used to say like that. So naturally they were so grateful when they were attacked, the Devatas were attacked by the Asuras from the southern side. This Rudra came up and fought vehemently like the Purandara. The Purandara became Indra. And the Shiva became the Rudra. Rudra became Shiva. O worshipful Rudra, you are the holder of bow and arrow. You have many forms and have owned the jewelries called Nishka. Nishka is another one type of. Now they in English in India they say ornament. Here the ornament means different. And this is jewelry he used to wear. Why they are giving the description of this? And why different forms? Actually, he is sending out his own people in different battlefields, in different places. They are fighting in the name of the Rudra. They are all Rudras. Whole clan is Rudra. The Shiva is the leader. The Rudra clan going out and fighting. So you are in different form. This is the problem. The language they have used in the Veda, if they had mentioned, your people went and fought there also. Not that the Rudra alone is going everywhere. He is sending his soldiers, as we always do over now in the present day. Let us pray to the fierce Rudra, the seated in the car, youthful, terrible, like a beast, and a destroyer of the foes. May his army kill our enemies. Is again in the Rig Veda. May his armies kill our enemies. The fighting was also there. Sometimes we say, oh, they're Satya Yuga, they were good people, we like to go back to Satya Yuga. Again, the fighting will be there. Without fight, human being cannot survive. So there were no one, only 2 brothers. They started fighting, Devas and Danavas. Same father, 2 mothers. Now they are fighting, Devas and Danavas. So fearful fighting and deviating from each other. So this is, as the son bends to the blessings, Father, so do we bend before you, O great Rudra. So we find that the Rudra, the Shiva, is becoming very, very powerful, and be propitious, be not angry with us. Why this type of prayer? Because the moment a person becomes powerful, naturally all others, they try to pacify him, try to be in the good book of that person always. This is the system. And to the heroic Rudra family, it goes on. There is a female warrior of the same clan, the same family. He was Uma, the wife of Rudra. In terrible battles, she killed the Daitya chief Mahisha and Sumbha, Nishumbha, and their generals. This Durga. Now, if we read this, shall we lose devotion? So, this is the question. Now, when we come to know that they are all historical people and they existed in some time, shall we lose devotion to the goddess Durga? Now we do not know about the goddess Durga, so we think, oh, it is good. The moment we know about him, shall we lose the devotion? This is the thing. So we have to understand this. Different type of conception is coming about the devatas, the gods. Now I went to a temple, Krishna temple. The priest was asking, I was going and offering pranam to Krishna. It is in India. Then the priest was asking, do you follow, are you a Vaishnava? Because by seeing me, he understood I am not a Vaishnava. Because I am not having the marking and all those, apparent humbleness and all those. So naturally, he told, are you a Vaishnava? I told, I am a devotee of Sri Krishna and Vishnu, of course. But the Vaishnava, the saints you are asking, I am not. I worship Sri Ramakrishna. Then the priest, he said, Sri Ramakrishna was a human being. How can you worship him? I told him, but Krishna, was he not a human being? No, he was God. Unless he was God, how could he lift the whole Govardhana hill? Is it possible for any human being? He showed so many miraculous power. Can you consider him as a human being? He was God. But what about Ramakrishna? He showed no miracles. So how can you consider him as God? That was the question. Swami Vivekananda, in one place, he was also asked by some people, why you consider Sri Ramakrishna as God? Then he said, all the good qualities, the best qualities that human being could think, all are there in him. Can't we tell him or call him as God? You are talking about God and telling the God is these, all these qualities. In that case, why can't we think Sri Ramakrishna, who was in human form, as God? God is all powerful. He had tremendous power. He could change the mind of the people. He didn't kill. He didn't punish, but he changed the minds of the people. Do you think it is not a power? When a person came to beat him, there was a Manmatha. Manmatha was a thug. He came to behave roughly with Sri Ramakrishna. And a lean and thin person, he only touched him with a single finger. And the huge powerful body of the Manmatha, he just became like a stone. He was there for a long time, almost paralyzed. How it is possible? And he was almost everywhere. When a person, he was sitting in Sri Ramakrishna was in Calcutta, in Dakshinesha. And that time another person, a very famous person, he was Vijay Krishna Goswami, he was in Dhaka, Bangladesh. He saw Sri Ramakrishna sitting by his side and listening the conversation. He held his hand also. And afterwards came back to Dakshineshwar and said, this time you cannot say you were not. I touched you over there. You were there. He was everywhere. You were here in Detroit when Swami Vivekananda wanted to drink a cup of coffee. Some people, they were not very happy with Vivekananda's popularity. They put the poison in that to kill him. Sri Ramakrishna appeared in that poison, in the coffee, and he said, don't drink it. It is poisoned already. Can we not call him as a God? And at the same time, his love, his affection. So, when we are discussing about the Rudra, the Shiva, and at the same time, the Uma, Rudra's wife, she also killed the Daitya's chief, like the Mahishasura, Sambhu, Nishambhu, and Nishambhu was the grandson of the Prahlada, Nishambhu. And then afterwards some of their generals also. And the one great Daitya king, that is Durga, his name was Durga, the great Daitya king, collected a very strong and large army. Uma again took the field with another army of her, and before the battle, she inspired the soldiers with her spirit, so much so that her soldiers saw her as a very goddess of victory. So when the battle, we know the Durga, this Durgati Nashini Durga we call. Durgati means all the miseries. And why the Durgati? This king, the Durga, he never allowed people to study. Without the knowledge, all they were becoming crippled. So they went, and this Durga became very powerful, and she went and fought with him, killed him. But before that, she was not alone. She was fighting with a big group, and she inspired them. If you go and see the movie and the film, there the leaders, they are standing before, inspiring his soldiers and then charging. It's a common system in those days. Nowadays, only sitting inside the room, they are putting the finger on the button and things are destroyed. It's not like that. They used to fight. The leaders used to go forward. So Swami Vivekananda said, Shirdartha Sardar. Sardar means those who used to lead from the front. And our leaders now, they always lead from the back. You can never get them. And when they are defeated, they will take the shelter in that country again, because they are having a lot of money. So this is the thing now we are seeing, but the other, it was different. So this is really very unique. The Uma, the battle was so fierce, Uma won on the day after all. Later on, her son Kartikeya became the general of the Deva army. So this is the way it goes, the Shiva. The worship and image of Shiva of the after age originated from the description given in the Rig Veda already quoted. The worship and the image of Shiva, it came afterwards. Now when we know someone was a great hero, he fought for us, then afterwards people started worshiping him as God. Particularly in the eastern region, in the India, the moment they see a good person, they always call him a Devata. Now many people, they worship Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. No one will doubt about his historical existence. But I have seen people in the northeastern region, they worship him as Devata. And they are mentioning, they believe he cannot die. Still the confusion is there whether Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose he died, and there is a theory that in a plane crash, etc., etc. They don't believe. How can he die? He was a Devata. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So every year they are worshipping with a great fanfare. So this is the same way our Devas are coming, and similarly like the Brahma and the Vishnu. And here there is a great, they are mentioning about one king was there, he established in the region of Kashyapa. He was one of the Prajapati, Daksha. His name was Daksha Prajapati. And he was the 10th son of that we were mentioning. He established his kingdom near the Haridwar. Still the Haridwar is there. And his daughter was Uma. And this Uma, she went, the Parvati, afterwards different names came. She went to bathe in the Ganga, and that time Shiva also came to bathe in the Ganga. They say that Shiva was very, very handsome. So naturally Uma got attracted and she declared, I am going to marry that man. And that was the custom, particularly among the kingly families. The moment they chosen, the girl has chosen any person, they were considered as her husband. So when she declared, the father was not very happy because he was not of the same category. So he was telling why he. But the Uma told, no, I will marry him only. She married, she went away. Other people, other kings, they started teasing this father of the Uma. So what is this? Your son-in-law is like this. He is not having any kingdom. He is not a king at all. And when these things were going on to insult, there is another version is also there, that when there was a program function was going on, all were sitting together, and when the Daksha Prajapati entered, he was a very respected person, all stood up except Shiva. The Shiva, he was sitting in his own mood, and he was a great yogi also, the powerful yogi. Anyway, he didn't show the respect by standing up. And when that was the custom, still it is there in our country. The moment a respected person is coming in, all people will stand up. But here in America, when I entered into the classroom, nobody stood up. They all belong to Shiva. So Shiva also didn't stand up. So this way, Haridwar. So with the Haridwar, that took place afterwards. There's another meeting in some place in Haridwar maybe. The Shiva didn't stand up, so he became very angry. The two versions. One, he married the daughter of that king, but he was not ready to give that marriage, to give a daughter to him, first thing. Secondly, other people, they were teasing, telling, he is not a king at all. How come that your daughter is marrying him? This is one thing. Secondly, they say in the meeting, when they all stood up to show the respect, he didn't do, he was insulted, and he himself called a great meeting. They called it, the puja, the homa, yajna. In the yajna, he didn't invite his son-in-law Shiva. Now the news reached over there, so the daughter thought, father is angry, if I go down, I will pacify him. Usually, she came, but the father was so angry, not only the father, because the father was angry, no one in the family talked to that Uma. Rather, almost all of them, particularly the father, he was criticizing the Shiva. And that was too much for the Uma. Now she cannot go back to her husband. The husband told not to go. But again and again she was forcing and she came. Now how she can go back? You know that story. To make it short, the Uma killed herself. She jumped in that fire. And when that news reached to that Shiva, the yogi, he showed his power. Now here the description is, from his own matted hair, he created two ferocious people. One is the girl, a lady, woman, and the man. They went and killed everyone, ransacked everything. Maybe we can take that, or we can say his followers all came there. And he himself also came very angry and came and again another story. These are the small points. If we can understand, he killed and he cut the head of the Daksha Prajapati. And then other came and told, he is the Prajapati, he is the king. If the administrator is not there, everybody will be in trouble. Please give him life. So there was a goat, Aja. The goat is also in Sanskrit, they call Aja. So they cut the head of the goat and placed in his. Now this is difficult to accept for the modern people. They will say, is it true so much development in the medical, so they could cut the head and then can replace it with something else? You know, sometimes those who are illiterate, foolish, we call them, scold them as Aja. You're just like a goat. And again, I will take 1 or 2 minutes. These are the things, if we know, it will be very easy for us to understand the systems. Arjuna, he took a promise, a vow, if anyone is criticizing my power, that is his bow and arrow, then I will kill him. Anyone criticizing my power, I will kill him. And that they said, my bow is my power. And it so happened, Yudhishthira went to fight, and he was expecting Arjuna will come and protect him. But Arjuna was engaged in another battle. He couldn't come and protect him. So Yudhishthira was beaten. He came back, and when Arjuna came to the camp, he said, is this your power? And you promised that you will protect me? On your promise only I went over there. They were so powerful, and they have beaten me, insulted me, and I don't give any respect to your power. That he criticized. Then Arjuna started crying. So why? Because he said, brother, you knew that anyone they are challenging, criticizing my bow, I am supposed to kill him. Now you have done it. I must have to kill you. But you are my elder brother. But what to do? As in the Hindi, in Sanskrit, they say dharma sankat. Dharma sankat means I am in great difficulty to take the decision. This is also I must have to keep, and this is also very difficult to keep. So what should I do? Then the Krishna came. This is the answer. Krishna came and said, what is the problem? This is the problem. Don't you know, if you insult a respected person before everyone, that is like death to him. So you can insult the Yudhishthira, and then that will be a death to him. You need not to kill physically. I think the same thing happened in this case also. This Prajapati, he was insulted by the Rudra, the Shiva, before everyone, calling him as a goat. You don't have any hate to think. You are not a human being. You are like a goat. And naturally, he was insulted. People started thinking that his head was cut. So that may be, if we take this explanation, taking the incident from the Mahabharata, we can understand the whole thing. But if we say the no, he cut his head and then it was replaced by the head of a goat, it is difficult to accept. So this is the way the whole thing goes. Then from the Rudra is the most famous. Then the Brahma and all. Brahma created. Then the Brihaspati and the Shukra, they were the great sages, and they were actually became the guiding force for the two brothers. Brihaspati became the guru, the guiding force, the preceptor, the teacher of the Devatas, and the Shukracharya, he became the teacher of the Danavas. So the Danava and this Shukracharya, he was a great sage. But to depict that as because he was supporting the other group, so the Devatas, they propagated in this way, he is a one-eyed man. He was not. Maybe we do not know. He is a one-eyed man. Why? He cannot see the good thing. He only see the bad things. So he is a one-eyed man. The Shukracharya is like this. He is supporting the Danavas, and we are the Devatas, so he is our enemy. But they are the two teachers. So from here we can understand our Devatas, whom we call our Devatas, we are having great respect for them. All these Devatas are nothing but the human being with great powers, great wonderful qualities, and nothing wrong in it. Wrong here. I don't think there's anything wrong. But anyway, friends, this is a wonderful topic. We will conclude over here. Now the thing is, as I was mentioning in the beginning, the whole thing is coming down and slowly taking shape, but how to continue? Unless and until you have a philosophy, you cannot continue this thing. Some ideas we have developed, some norms we are following, and we have developed a wonderful society, that is all right. But unless you have a philosophy, you can never get the support, and particularly for the next generations, only the philosophy can protect, not the stories, not the mythologies, not the histories, not the incidents. And from the next classes, we will go to the philosophy which is known as the Upanishads. From the next, in our next class onwards, we will go through that great and wonderful philosophy which is known as Vedanta philosophy. So Veda means knowledge, Anta means the end. That means the end of knowledge, and that is the knowledge of the Atman, knowledge of oneness. And because of that oneness conception, because that was the philosophy, and afterwards you will see how the generations after generation coming forward, and they are making it so wonderful way, analyzing why we should continue. And Swami Vivekananda said in the very recent time, the Vedanta is the only answer to save this humanity. So thank you very much. Now let us say together, Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om. In the next class,